They break, they steal, no one here is free. Here they come for thee. Unless you listen to Dave and Stacie.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from the Corn Productions Deep Dive TV podcast with my co-host Stacie, here talking to Elizabeth Moy, aka Mrs. Wu from the Fromcast, which by the time this drops will have aired 2 episodes. Liz, welcome to the channel.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hi, Dave. Hi, Stacie.
This is an honor.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to us.
I'm honored. Thank you.
And just so you know, I am drinking tea in
yes,
Mrs. Wu's
we are
honor.
drinking our tea today.
I'll drink tea.
There we go. All right, so Liz, I feel like I lost my mother after watching these 2 episodes. It was definitely we knew it was coming, but watching it play out was definitely heartbreaking for us for sure. It was definitely hard to watch TV. But yeah, after it happened, I messaged my coworker and my co-host, same difference. And I was like, I need 1,000 hugs after watching that end of that episode.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Yeah,
it was a tough one to get through.
Yeah,
we love you.
We do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we're definitely big fans of Mrs. Wu.
And we wanted to get you on the show before. I know we were talking on Twitter like back during season 2, and then the strikes happened and we stopped interviewing people, but that was the perfect time, and I'm so glad we were able to make this work.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad to be connected with you guys. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching the show and bring the shows and engaging viewers. So thank you.
So how did you get your start in acting?
How did I get started in acting?
Yeah.
Oh, do you want a long story or do you want a shortened one?
Whatever you feel like sharing.
Whichever you feel like telling.
I was on my, I guess, okay. I started background performing in 2018. And because I always wanted to try background performance because one of my best friends was involved in filming background as an extra at that time. I could never do it. And so in 2018, there was some time that I was able to say, hey, maybe I can sign up for a background. As soon as I step on the background performance, I fell in love with filming. And then 2019, I started training as an actor, and and that just changed my whole life around.
What things did you background in? Just out of curiosity, which shows?
I was in I was quite busy. I was in The Good Doctor.
We had guessed that.
Yeah, we thought you might be in that one.
A lot of the Hallmark movies, because there are a lot filming in BC. So I've been in quite a few, yeah. And then a couple of other, there were one movie with Sandra Bullock.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was filmed in Vancouver and I was a background then. So I've done quite a bit.
Did you get to meet anybody on The Good Doctor, like Freddie Highmore or Richard Schiff by chance?
Not per se, because as a background, you have to keep your distant. And if I see them, I've seen them on set, but I didn't approach them.
That's amazing, though. Do you feel like that work as a background performer helped you prepare for this role? And like
Definitely.
On a set and all of that?
Definitely, because I was able to see all the makeup in terms of, the support role, in the background. what we do, and in terms of the holding area, and in terms of just being involved in a big group of people, and we may have different directions or instructions. So we have to keep in mind of what we have to do. Is what the instruction for other people is not your job. You just have to keep remembering what your job is and where you're supposed to go and who to listen to. Because there are so many people that are giving instruction, but the instruction may be for someone else. So
Right.
you have to discern, what you need to do. And as a background, it really gave me the sense of we acting. A lot of the acting is actually reacting to what's in the scene, what is spoken to you, and whether you are in a group or in a small setting, what your interaction would be. And so that kind of gave me the in-person education of what filming is like instead of going to a filming school.
That's great. So how did you go from that to getting cast in this role in the main cast of what was going to become like such a big cult classic already? What was that like? How did you hear about the part? What was the audition process like?
Um, my agent submit my profile to casting, and in the beginning, you look up who the producers are, who the director would be, and who the writer is, and it didn't really click in. This is going to be a major thing. So I just approached the audition as any other audition. I did my best. I had fun with it, and I placed myself in as much of the story because when you get an audition, you only get the side. You don't get a lot of the background. So you have to basically build your own backup story, and so I just involved in that process, and and then once you get your audition, you don't really hear, right? There's no feedback. So normally, as an actor, we learn to submit our auditions or do the audition and then move on.
Right.
Don't dwell on it, and and then I was so happy when I was already quite happy when I got the call back. And I got to meet Jack Bender, and I was just already in cloud nine. And then when I booked the series, I was crying, I was jumping for joy, it was awesome.
So you were already pretty familiar with Jack Bender's work.
As an actor, you have to, you would look up what work they've done, and the shows that they've done. Yes, I was a little bit familiar with his work, and I started watching Lost. And then I watched Mr. Mercedes. I can't remember the name now. Anyways,
Yeah, that's one of Stephen King's
that's
stories
right.
that he did. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack's done some great stuff. So
Yes.
you knew going into it that From had to be successful with him on it, and everybody, like, there's great names behind this show, and that's amazing. That's just such an amazing story. So were you nervous, like, going in your first day shooting?
I was nervous. I was telling my acting coach that, what am I gonna do? Like, am I gonna be able to do the different takes, the level that they want me to do, and like, would I be able to remember what I've done earlier, and do the continuation in a sensible way, there's so many stuff that I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it, but my acting coach kept telling me or reminding me, once I put in all the work, then it will just come, and just enjoy it. And and then that's what I did. I was really nervous. But also, Jack Bender is such a great director. One of the earliest scene that we've done, I think we were filming, it's either the one that I was hitting Jade, or one of the earliest scenes with Kenny. Jack, I don't think he knew that I was that was my first time, first film.
Right.
And he just said to me, "What would you do? What would Tin Chen you do in this sequence?" So I thought, oh, wow. So he, in the start, he already gave me the confidence to be who I am, to be who Tin Chen is, because
Yeah.
it's really about me bringing Tin Chen to life.
Mhm.
So that was a real confident booster.
So there's a lot of you in Mrs. Wu.
Yes. I actually, I'm so grateful. I kept telling John, the writer, even though we didn't know each other beforehand, before this, you actually wrote it for me. Because there's so many things that I find similar to my own life. So it's, yeah, I find it, yeah, it's me.
That's great. You mentioned Jade. I want
Mhm.
to talk a little bit about the relationship between Tian Chen and Jade. Like, we love their relationship.
Oh,
It's probably our
absolutely.
favorite relationship in the whole series. You guys play off of each other so great. Uh, what's it like working with him?
He's amazing. He's an amazing person. He's funny. He's actually a really good cook. You
Oh
think
yeah.
Tim Chan is a chef? He is the true chef. He can just whip up anything, just anything in the fridge, and he can just whip up whatever. Um, so he's really fun, and he's also professional. And yeah, and somehow the chemistry just was there, because we try to, depending on what the script is, but we try to get to know each other,
Mhm.
as a group, to bond. And, Kenny and I met, and, like a lot of us would meet outside of filming to create that bond, to create that friendship. So it's fun working with Jade, and I don't know how that chemistry came along with that comedic, but that deep respect and love. It, I don't know.
Like, was it written that way, or did it just happen?
I think it just happened. I don't know for whatever reason, because he's written as an annoying, arrogant,
Right.
uh, unrespectful individual, and one of the earliest scene where he jumped the queue in front of an old elderly person in the diner.
Mhm.
Um, that to me, it actually created already a very disrespectful approach for me, because, in Chinese culture, you don't do that. Elders are first, and elders are respected. You don't be impolite to them. You have to respect them, you have to address them, and acknowledge them. So already in the beginning, that behavior already created that, I don't know, like, I want to whip him. But on the other hand, I also saw the vulnerable individual that he is, that he's wanting, and he's lacking that mother love, and that family bond. So there's that love there too. So I don't know how, I think it's how it was written, and then we just naturally fell into it.
What's great is that you guys barely speak the same language and you were still able to develop that type of bond. That's what I love about the relationship is like, the you don't necessarily speak the same language, but you seem to understand each other nonetheless.
I think, another thing is, I don't know if you guys notice, Jade has a lot of expression, a lot of reaction. He
Mhm.
reacts to Chen Chen. And I think that those reaction nonverbal ones are the ones that very intriguing for me. And it just, I don't know, for some reason, it just brings you to a different level with understanding because you don't have to have words, languages are really about context,
Mhm.
right? And so, yeah, no, it's, yeah, I'm amazed with that chemistry too.
Yeah. And if you look at episode 302, Jade never left her body. He
Right.
stayed in that church the entire time from the moment she was brought in through the funeral. He almost left, like just to give Christy her space, but like he didn't know what to do with himself. He doesn't want to walk away. And I don't know. I think this is gonna be even harder on him than it is on Kenny. Personally, I think that.
Well, that scene is really, it's a tearjerker, I think, it's
Absolutely.
like, when he did that, I just thought, when I first saw the script, I thought, how am I going to be able to not react to that?
Right. Well, we might as well just skip ahead and talk about that. Uh, so we've talked to several actors on the show after their characters have died, so we know that they always play their own dead bodies. So I'm assuming it was the same experience for you. Um, but we got to see like more of Tian Chen than we have any of the other bodies in this series. Like we got to spend a lot of time looking at all of the damage that they did to her body. So I can't imagine much of that was you. Was it just your head? Like was the rest of you under the bed, or how did that work?
When I first saw the script, I just thought, you know what, how am I going to be able to stay dead? When there's, all that, Sarah bring the dress over and, all that stuff. It's like, I'm just gonna, even just reading the script, I was crying. I just thought, how am I gonna be able to do that? I've been saved by a dummy.
Oh,
Okay.
so you weren't there for any of that,
Wow, it's pretty convincing looking dummy for sure. It
right?
looked it looked
I
like
figured
it.
at least your head was there.
No?
No, it's all dummy. So it's
Wow.
from head to my torso. Yeah, and they build the whole thing. They build the arms and the legs and everything. So yeah, so and it's the dummy, it's so realistic.
Wow.
Like when I first saw, I just thought, oh my goodness, that's me. They capture every single thing. And I actually have a little dent. I think it's on, I can't remember now. Oh, which ear? It's
I have a
one
dent in
of
my
my
ear
ear.
too.
There's a dent where the piercing is.
Hmm.
It's actually there.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Because I was
yeah.
positive. I mean,
Yeah. Like almost every other actor that's been on the show that's died has said that they were there
yeah,
during their
during
death
their
scenes. Yeah.
their corpse
Their
scenes.
corpse, yeah.
I mean, Reed Price said he was laying on the ground for 2 days to get that 3 seconds of
Oh,
his body.
yeah. They saved me from that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
And that was going to
yeah.
be my question: is how long did it take to shoot all of that? It must have been like days and days, but they
It
must have
still,
figured,
yeah. It still took days. I mean,
right? But you weren't laying still during it.
no, yeah.
I'm actually kind of curious. How far in advance did you know that your character was going to die?
I knew before we shot. Yes, I knew about. I think we started shooting in December.
Mhm.
And I knew like a month and a half ago.
Mm.
So the SAG was still on strike. It was
Mhm.
on Halloween. The SAG was still on strike, and I got a call from John. John, Jack, and Jeff were on the phone and told
Oh
me
wow.
about,
Well, you know
yeah.
what it is when all of them are calling you.
Well, it was John that first call, and then after he told me the news, then he brought Jack and Jeff on the line to talk to me, and yeah, they're just they're lovely people. They're just so loving and so encouraging, and yeah, and it's a hard call because it really shows that they don't want to kill anybody,
Right.
right?
You.
They
I
don't want
mean,
anyone to die. But, you know, how it goes, somebody has to die.
right.
Right.
I mean, you can't not kill anybody because then, the people watching the show feel safe and you don't want them to feel that way. And
No.
I made the argument in our recording bar podcast that killing your character rather, not you personally, was actually a brilliant move on the writer's part in the sense that they
Mm.
were gonna pick somebody to kill. Mrs. Wu was the perfect one, because her character impacts everybody, like Jade, Kenny, Boyd, everybody in the show, and it was definitely gonna like be a major impact death. So
Hmm.
it was definitely a good person to kill off, even though we don't want to see her go or you go. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a big decision, and they were right out of the bat giving it to us this season.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
how is this town going to survive without Mrs. Lou? Like, you're the surrogate mother for everybody, right? Like, we've got, I mean, Donna's the mother of Colony House, but you're the mother of the town. And how are they going to even function? Who's going to make
hmm
the pancakes and cook the tea?
That's right. Who's gonna feed the town? Yeah, no, it's I agree with Dave. It's an impactful move that they do this, and I'm just really grateful because from talking to them, I see them putting a lot of attention in this act. So for them to pay so much attention to Ten Chan's death, it speaks value to the character, and which I feel really grateful and honored. It took me a few weeks to get over, like to go through all my emotions and to accept it and to accept it with gratitude and in a way it's a challenge for me. you know how many actors get to play death scene,
Right.
and how many actors do it in a believable way. So I took it as a challenge, as a development, as an actor. And yeah, so the filming was really amazing. Yeah.
Wow. So you got saved from having to lay still on a table for days, but you definitely were there during the death scene. And you're a scream queen now. Those were some big screams you gave. That was a amazing scene. Like,
yeah, brutal.
both, the little teaser we got at the end of 301 plus like the flashbacks of the full thing happening in 302.
Hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about filming that? Like, it's the goriest thing we have seen on From so far out of all the deaths we've seen.
Um, to tell you the truth, even though I knew that, Tin Chan's gonna die, I didn't know how exactly she's
Mhm.
gonna die. So in my preparation, I built a lot of scenarios, how she's gonna die, or what's gonna happen, and different scenario. And I knew that, screaming would be one of the major ones. At first, I thought, maybe I could hold it, not scream, because sometimes when you're in pain, you hold. But then I thought, you know what? From my conversation with the three J's, that's not going to happen. So without knowing exactly what that scene is about, I actually already found a voice coach to go through because, I mean, I know screaming can hurt our vocal cord and, hurt our voice. And so I wanted to approach it in a way that is safe and good for me. So I think I got a voice coach maybe at the end of November. So we've already started, doing a lot of breathing exercise and doing a lot of in-depth work in terms of my vocal cord and how to scream safely, but in a realistic way. So, and now I'm still taking vocal lesson even after my screaming. Yeah, so I've done that's the physical work. And then also in terms of the emotional work is what emotions live in me. Like, obviously I'm a mother. I know the pain of giving birth. But I don't really know the fear, the terror, and what kind of terror or fear do I have that lives in me. So there's a lot of internal work in terms of the emotions that I would need. So in terms of the emotional and the physical work, I've done it, like I have to prep myself way before filming.
Yeah, I think you should hook up with Jamie McGuire and do some horror.
Say that again?
You
Sorry.
should link up with Jamie McGuire and do some horror.
Smiley.
Oh,
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
But he doesn't scream.
No?
Right.
He
Are you
only
a-
smiles.
Are
Oh,
you a
that's right.
fan of horror or no?
What's that?
Are
Sorry.
you a fan of horror?
Mm,
Or do you
I'm not too sure if like, depending on what horror it is, now I'm learning that horror is a big, it's a broad term.
Sure.
So I'm not too sure if I'm a fan of certain horror. But I definitely I watch um, Walking Dead. I watched Godzilla. Is it Godzilla?
Godzilla?
It's the monster, the
Right.
Japanese monster.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what else? Yeah, so but I haven't watched, is it Smile? There's this movie
Oh,
called
Smile.
Smile.
Yeah, we
I
actually are
haven't
covering
watched
that
that.
in October.
I'm not too
It's
sure if
not
I want
very
to watch.
gory.
No, it's not.
It's
It's
not
not really
gory.
that gory.
No.
A lot of
No?
jump scares.
Okay. So
Listen, you filmed this scene. You can handle Smile. This
I
is
can
way
handle
more
Smile.
intense than Smile.
Yeah. I guess I can handle gory, because the scene is quite gory. So I can handle that.
It's very gory. Like I can't imagine how long did that scene take? Like the whole barn thing. Was that a day, a couple days? If
I
you
think that
recall,
was like a couple days, two nights.
that
Yeah.
you were living in this moment of dread.
Yeah. 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 And like shooting those scenes really allow me to see everything. Everything you see is not just my acting. There's
Right.
so much work behind it. There's the prosthetic, there's special effect, there's sound, so it's everybody working together. And that's, one of the reasons why I think filming is such it's a synergy that I really like in doing filming. And one of the last thing that I thanked the crew was, going to work every day, going on set every day, seeing them working so hard, and they pushed me to do my job with 120%, and because it's everybody working together, and filming those scenes, it's the technical part, there's like tubes going in, like under the prosthetic, and there's like stuff, attached to my head, and so there's a lot of technical stuff, and experiencing that, filming all that technical stuff, and there are difficulties in terms of, sometimes the blood isn't, going up, like, because it's gravity, right? Sometimes you have to pump the blood up and then go down, but sometimes the pumping doesn't, it is not going up, right? Then if it's not going up, then it's not going down. So there's so much technical stuff that I got to see. And I remember, one of the scene where we have to reshoot, because, it just, and I have to change. Because my hair and everything got already dirty and stuff, so I have to change into another pair of pants, or and freshen up my hair and stuff. And when you're in prosthetic, and when you have like those sticky blood on you, you don't walk very fast, right? So instead of wardrobe asked, well, we can walk to your holding area and get you changed, and I said, it's going to take me a while. And that was at night already, right? So I just wanted to make sure we get everything quick. And I said, no, we're just going to change here. We're just going to change, just on the side. I'm wearing a lot of stuff underneath anyways. It doesn't really matter. So I just changed right outside of where we filmed, instead of walking a mile off to my holding area. It's like, no, we're just doing it here. So we did it quickly, and then we went back shooting. So it's the teamwork, it's the synergy that makes this so powerful, I guess.
And so I have a question. Well, obviously I have lots of questions, but do you blame Boyd for your character's death?
Can you repeat that question again?
Do you blame Boyd for your character's death?
No. Because I think where the scene is, Tin Chan's mind is on all the animals. We can't lose the animals, because once we lose the animals, we lose our food source. So I think, it's almost like she stepped up, because she's also, she's always in the kitchen, she's always in the diner. She's hardly out at night. I mean, nobody's out at night, but
Shouldn't be anyway.
pardon me?
You shouldn't be anyway.
No. And so I think she stepped up. She wants to help, and she wants to make sure the animals are safe.
So you don't view Boyd being the reason you were out there. You think that was a decision that your character made on her own, Boyd not being a part of that?
I think the decision to go out was made by her and Victor, because we both went out at the same time, because we saw how urgent, how the animals were out, how the goats were going and stuff. And that's why we went out. So yeah, no, I don't think Tin Chen would blame Boyd. Do you think she would blame Boyd?
No, I don't really think that. I think Victor and Mrs. Wu being out there was their decision. I was just curious about your opinion.
Yeah. What about you, Stacie?
I mean, we talked about this when we were, doing our regular podcast for the episode. And, one question we had asked was, well, if Boyd hadn't have gone out first, would they have gone out? Tien Chen and Victor, would they have gone out first if they saw this and Boyd wasn't already outside? And I'm not sure how I feel.
Okay. But
either way, I don't think it's his fault.
No, yeah, Yeah, that's a good question though, whether they would be out without boy going out first. Yeah, good question.
So speaking of the animals, that looked like such a fun scene. Other than knowing you're marching to your death, um, being outside at night with all these all these animals rather, just like parading down the street. Was that fun? It looked fun.
Uh, Actually, one of the takes that we did, the AD said to me, Liz, you just look too happy. You just, you look like you're having too much fun. We gotta cut that a little bit, okay? Can you? So, no, it was awesome. We actually had a meet and greet, a couple times before we shoot the scene with the animals. So we have already made connection. We fed the goats and the sheep and the cow, and we walked them a little bit already. So it's really fun. But the goats and the sheep. They have a mind of their own. Yeah, and they are very strong. At one point, I was holding like two goats or two or three goats on one hand and then a couple of sheep on the other hand. And, I really have to ground myself. Otherwise, they're gonna pull me. And yeah, so to your question, it was fun to shoot all those scenes and also it was at night. So at one point, after the AD said to me, you have to not having too much fun with the animals, I came to a realization that, you know what, Liz, you have a job to do. Let's get serious. Yeah. So after that, no more fooling around.
No, I love that scene. It was like, what is going on now? It's like everybody's outside, all the animals are marching down the street. It was great.
I think it took like 2 nights too to shoot
Wow.
those.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna ask how long. Like that's crazy. Like, did the animals cooperate? Were they good?
Mm, to some point, they're good to, I mean, like I said, they have a mind of their own
Yeah.
and there's a lot of feeding going on. And then at one point they were fed so much that,
They
feeding,
weren't responding anymore.
exactly,
Yeah.
feeding wouldn't work anymore because they're already
Oh.
full, right? So yeah, so it's a challenge. And especially it was in the winter time.
Mhm.
It was windy, it was cold. We were bundled up, but it's I'm so grateful that I got to experience filming those scenes because the element and the animals and working outside, it just brings me up to the different level of understanding
Right.
what filming is about. Yeah.
It sounds like a memorable shoot.
Oh, it's I couldn't I couldn't there's no words to describe how grateful and how thankful I am in order to experience that because um it's the real experience that I take away from all this and it just opened my eyes to a different level and also seeing Jack work in those elements, it just, he's a true leader. Not only is he a good leader, he's a compassionate leader. At one point, he said, you know what, I think one of the days, it was a Friday night and it was a long weekend coming up. And, he just thinking about finishing the shoot so that the crew can go home and enjoy their holiday and their family. And so I really saw his creativity, his vision, and his leadership in action.
Is your relationship with your on-screen son similar to you and Ricky Hay? I don't think I asked that question right. Okay, so is your relationship to Ricky Hay similar to Mrs. Wu and Kenny? I think that's a better way to say it.
The relationship with Kenny and Tin Chan is it the same as
Or
Liz
similar?
and Ricky?
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
think what he's asking is how close are you with Ricky?
That's a better way to phrase it. Sure.
we're close. I mean, we're even in age, he can be my son.
Mm.
And I feel like he respects me as a mother because at one point, how him and Courtien always have the boxing and fighting, and they always practicing their kicks and their punches, and at one point I said I said to Ricky, I said, I want to do it too. I want to be able to do some boxing with you. And he said, no, I can't. I can't be punching you. And yeah, and when we were filming season one, I've never met him before, right? So season one in Halifax, and that's when we first met. And before we shot, before our first day on set, he called me up and said, let's go grab some coffee and get to know each other and run through our lines and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a connection that we built, and he lives in Vancouver. So once in a while we still text each other, and yeah, in fact, we still text each other as a group, message each other. Yeah.
So your relationship with the entire cast is pretty close.
I would say so. Yes, yes, yes. Part of the separation, part of playing the death scene is I lean on the fact that I'm going to be separated from that group, in real life, and that how I lean into my emotions. So yeah, no, it's yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit. I will miss them, when they hang out in Halifax and stuff. Yeah.
Well, we've seen plenty of times characters come back in ghost form, so there's still a chance that we'll see Mrs. Wu again for sure.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we'll see you on the From screen again. One thing I want to ask about is the tea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we got any tea references in episodes 301 or 302.
Yeah, that made me
But
sad.
obviously,
that Mrs.
lots
Wu.
lots of tea talk in the first two seasons, to the point where there was one of the theories going around was that Mrs. Lou's a little suspicious and maybe she's putting something in the tea. What did you think seeing people talk about that theory?
I laughed. And I play along with it, because in fact, Chinese people know a lot of mushrooms, medicinal purposes, right? And so, there's a lot of herbs that Tin Chan knows that I don't know about. So she may be using some of the herbs that she finds in the forest. I think it's a great theory.
Well, I think now that she's gone, we can assume she's not like some mastermind behind it all.
Oh, but you
Yeah,
never know. You
Yeah,
never
you never know.
know.
That's true. You never know anything in this world.
Final episode, Mrs. Wu comes out. I was behind it all, and then you ask me.
Mrs. Lou and Tom walking out, closing the doors on their game.
Isn't that a theory that the moles are actually people who die or something like that, right?
I mean, there's anything you could think of. The theory's out there somewhere.
I hear Donna being accused all the time of being a mole, and
Yeah.
I don't buy it, but
I think I stopped trying to figure out the punchline at this point, and I'm just here for the story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna let them tell us the story the way they want to tell it. But
Mhm.
but yeah, there's I don't know, do you have any favorite theories you've heard?
I really like the tea,
The one we
with
just shared.
the tea, there's something up, and then I saw somewhere that that she did something with the Tin Chan did something with the pancakes. She put
Mm.
something in the pancakes. So that makes it very addictive. So I don't know.
Oh, let's talk about Sarah for a minute. Um, we saw in, head of the funeral, like you'd mentioned, she brought the dress in, and we're reminded a little bit at this moment that Sarah and Tian Chen used to be very close.
Mhm.
Before, the events that we're watching, right? So they were very close. They were working together every day. She obviously would have looked at you as a mother figure as well. And then, of course, everything that happened in season one, and they weren't friends anymore. And now she's not even welcome to the funeral. I don't know if there's a question in here anywhere, but what do you think about that relationship between Ten Chen and Sarah?
Oh, it's such a lovely relationship. It's even when I think about that relationship and the hurt and the level of love and care that Tin Chen has for Sarah, or Sarah with for Tin Chen, is so deep.
Mhm.
Because it's so deep, the hurt is deeper because it makes the hurt much more impactful.
Right.
So you have the opposite end of those elements, and that makes it so interesting. And I think one of the question that I was asked yesterday was, do, do I think Tin Chan have forgiven Sarah? And I couldn't really answer that, but the most that I could say is, I think she doesn't hate Sarah. I think she still loves her, but because the hurt is so deep, she just can't stand to be in the same place as Sarah.
Mhm.
But the love is still there because, you can't take that away. Um, so I'm not too sure, I think Sarah not being able to go to the funeral is most likely it's her own guilt that she
Mhm.
doesn't allow herself to go.
Mhm.
So I don't think so a lot of the guilt and a lot of the hate, it's really self-imposed. And obviously the reaction from the people around doesn't help
Right.
us to get out of that situation. Yeah, so I love that relationship, that hurt, that love and hurtful
Mhm.
relationship. It's just so strong. I
Well,
don't know
while
if
we're on
that,
this topic, while we're
pardon
on
me?
this, while we're on this topic of talking about Sarah, I was thinking about a scene, season two, where you found out that she was responsible, in essence, for your husband's death, and she sees her in the diner, and you could play the scene multiple ways. You could like yell at her and be really mean to her, but you just express hurt in that scene. Was that a writing, a directing decision, or an actor decision on your part? How you played that scene?
Oh, that's a good question. Uh, I think it was written that way. I think it was written that way because I don't think I changed my dialogue for that scene. I don't think I changed the dialogue on that scene. Yeah, so it's written that way, and also how I played it is it's really a lot of journaling, and in character, and just telling Sarah what she thinks of her. Because, in that dialogue, it's very limited. It's in English, right? Wasn't it? Yeah, it's in
Yep.
English. And so with Tin Chan's limited language ability, so I had to do a lot of journaling in Chinese and just telling Sarah everything, I thought about her. The betrayal that, I took care of her, I loved her and gave her a place to belong to, gave her a family, and how could you betray me like that from, by taking away my husband. So I think in terms of the emotion, there's a lot of layers that was built in order to play that. I don't know if that answered your question. Yeah, so there's a lot of layers that Tin Chan had to go through in order to face Sarah. And you're right, she could have smashed everything. She could be mean to Sarah, but I think because of the strong love and because of Tin Chan's experience, I don't think she believes in lashing out or being violent to other people. You know what I mean? So there's a certain level of composure that I think Tin Chan has. I hope that answered your question.
I mean, it was a good answer. It was so either way. You have anything?
Your on-screen husband. I found this an interesting dynamic. You guys didn't share a scene together until like halfway through season 2, right? When he came back to film that flashback scene. Was that hard for you to like step backwards in character and have a scene with the person, your husband who's been gone the whole series? Like, what was that like shooting with him for the first time?
We actually met for coffee before we shot that scene, and yes, we actually didn't shoot a scene together until later on. But in a way, I already know him. He's already in my life, in Tin Chan's life. There's a backstory of how I met him, and and how we fell in love, and all that stuff. So he's already there. So he's not a stranger. And then in real life, as I got to meet with Simon, and we chatted and got to know each other, and yeah, we had a lot of fun on that scene when we were shooting. And we actually, I don't know if you guys seen it, it's on my Instagram. I actually took family photo with my husband and Kenny, because after we shot, and I said to them, I said, you know what, we have to have a family portrait, like a Chinese style. Okay, so we shot a lot of portrait that after shooting. We had so much fun. Yeah.
So this is a little bit off topic. So we had an interview with Donald Hang not that long ago, from The Sinner season 4, and the topic of Asian representation in media came up, specifically the need for more of it. Do you have any thoughts on that topic? Is it getting better? Is it about the same, worse?
I think, definitely you hear more about it. There's more awareness. And and I see a little bit of change. And, even on the show, I speak mainly Cantonese in the show. And so I think it's more out there, more open, and I hope that much more opportunities would become available. I'm hoping that like one of my wishes is to play in an Asian cast talking about immigrants in Canada. Because everybody has their story. I mean, me as an immigrant, when I first came to Canada, I had my own story, right? So I hope that there will be more of those opportunities. Definitely, I think it's opening up right now, but I'm hoping that, the speed of opening up will be faster and greater.
So you were born in Hong Kong, right? How old were
Yes.
you when you came to Canada? Were you a child or were you already an
I was
adult?
quite young. I was quite young. Yeah. So when I came, I had to learn the language because I
Right.
didn't speak English. And so I only spoke Chinese, Cantonese.
Mhm.
And I spoke Mandarin too when I was younger. Mandarin was my second language. Cantonese was my first. And yeah, so it's basically coming to Canada, learning the languages and trying to fit in. And I went through, the rebellious teenage year where I tried not to speak Chinese at home, and that didn't work well. Which I'm glad. I'm really happy that it was my brothers. I have two older brothers, and they got mad at me. My parents didn't say anything. I came home one day, started speaking English at home to my parents and to my brothers, and they just got so mad at me. My parents didn't say anything, but my brothers. So and then after that incident, I I just wasn't there to do that again. And I kept up with my Chinese. I kept reading in Chinese and keep speaking Chinese to whenever I'm, whenever I'm with Chinese speakers.
Mhm.
It sounds like you probably could have used some of your experience as an immigrant uh, in your performance with Mrs. Wu and From.
Yes, I actually have. Because, like I said before, I feel like, sh- John wrote Tin Chen for me. She's an immigrant. She takes care of the diner. Um, my mom, my mother owned a diner before,
Oh,
Oh,
really?
wow.
and I used to help her taking care of the diner. I used to be working in the front. My mom would be in the back cooking, and I would be working in the cashier and taking order and stuff like that. So that is so much in my life. And, the only difference is Tin Chan is a lot stronger. She doesn't care about, people. She doesn't care about what people think of her. Whereas, as a younger child, I do care about what other people think of me and whether am I fitting into the culture or not, or I just don't have the experience or the maturity to say, you know what, it's okay, right? But whereas Tin Chan is mature enough, and she is the way she is, and she doesn't care. And that's why it makes her that strong. And in terms of dealing with Alzheimer, her husband has Alzheimer. In my own life, my mom had Alzheimer, and she passed from Alzheimer from when we were filming season 2.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all those things that is Tin Chan, it's part of me. And so I think that's why it's a little bit easier for me to play Tin Chan, because I can find so many similarity in her life and my life. Yeah, there's some differences, but there's so much, so many things that are parallel.
Do you find that your opportunities for roles to audition for is limited? Not only being an Asian actress, a woman, uh, entering this career, as a second career in life. Do you find all of that limiting, or do you think that representation is available? as far as what roles are out there?
It's a lot of the roles that I'd audition for, it's not just for Asian. It's open for
Right.
any ethnicity or any gender. So I feel like I am not limited, but things that I have to work on is really my accent, and my speaking, which I'm working hard on doing that. So um, I try to practice my American accent every day. I try to practice my vocal every day. So I'm still building up that image, but I've been very fortunate that I've been auditioned for different roles and for different capacity and yeah. Hmm.
What else you got?
Uh, who is your favorite person to work with and from?
My favorite person to work with?
Yeah.
Just one? Oh, come on, Dave.
Okay, you can name multiple people. Am I putting you on the
That is
spot with
such
that
a
question?
that's a very difficult question to answer
All right.
because I love working with everyone. Um, um, yeah,
All right.
I'm
So
not going to answer that.
okay, I'll skip that. So I'll ask the next question. Is there anybody that you wish you could have worked more with?
In from?
Yes.
Mm, now, I can't name just one person, okay?
Okay. You can
I
name
actually wanted to work more with Jade, Victor, Donna.
basically everybody.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Um,
You want scenes with everybody. I got you.
but like my three wish list for um for season 3 was working more with Harold,
Hmm.
and also to work with Stun, and that my death would not be gory.
Well,
You can get the
So
last wish.
I got 2 out of 3 on my
Oh,
list. So I'm very happy.
that's a good percentage. Do we have anything else?
I think we're ready to hit our question of what is next for Elizabeth Moy.
What's next?
Yeah, do you have anything in the works? Do you have anything else going on in your life? What are you doing with yourself?
Any projects you
Uh,
want to plug?
and what was that? Sorry,
Any
Dave.
projects that you want to plug that you have upcoming?
I actually shot a short film in
Okay.
July, and that's coming out, should be coming out in at the end of November or October. I'm not too sure. It's a short film. We shot it locally in Vancouver, and so I'm really excited about that. I spoke both Chinese. I spoke Mandarin and Cantonese on that film. So I'm really excited about it. When it's ready, it will be on my Instagram.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. So and then in terms of my, next, I'm hoping, that I get to do more projects. So right now, I'm just concentrating on my voice. Like I said, I do vocal warm up every day, and I do my tongue twister every day. And I also practice my Mandarin too. I practice like because languages is so funny. I have to practice my Mandarin every day. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose it because I don't get to speak it every day, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any interest in doing conventions for From? Like joining the convention circuit?
Yeah, if opportunity comes, yeah, sure.
You know, when we spoke to Jamie McGuire, Smiley, he said that's what he really wanted to do is get involved in conventions. And I know he just went to one like last weekend. So that was super
Oh,
exciting that he got to do that.
oh,
Um,
nice. Yeah.
I think, you know, being part of the Frumily, there's always going to be a place for you in those lineups if that's something you're interested in pursuing, you know. I
Mm,
feeling From is going to be one of these things, a phenomenon that just keeps growing, like long
mm.
after it ends.
I
Yes.
believe so.
Yes. Yes. It's just like Lost, right? Lost
Mhm.
was didn't get picked up until a few years later, right?
Well,
Yeah.
It was
it
popular
was
during its
big, but
day,
yeah,
but
it's still like, I mean, 20 years later and Lost is still huge.
I did it backwards. I started watching From and then went back and started watching Lost myself. But
Did you finish the whole season? Like, did you finish
yeah,
everything?
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, we certainly look forward to seeing more of you in the future. We wish you luck with future projects
And
and
hopefully we get to see you again on From. That would be
Oh,
great.
thank you.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely
We
love.
never want to say goodbye to anybody in
Mhm.
From, right? So it's great that we
No.
have this dynamic where there's always an opportunity for a flashback or a who knows what
Mhm.
kind of appearance.
That's right. Yeah, you never know, right?
Mhm.
You know where I am?
Yeah. Yeah, we thank you for coming on the channel. It was definitely a pleasure talking to you. Definitely fun watching you on From. And we hope to see you in the future.
Yeah, and we're gonna miss Tian Chen so much.
She's around.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Stacie.
Thank you.
And that was our conversation with Elizabeth Moy. Some good stuff as always.
Yeah, that was an amazing interview. I'm so happy we got to talk to Liz today. And we got to do it at the perfect moment, right? Where we got to talk about her at a relevant time in the show. And she had so many amazing things to say
Absolutely.
about the whole series, but about, you know, Mrs. Lou's death and the funeral and all of the things we saw in episodes 301 and 302.
We definitely had tried to get around before, as I mentioned in the interview. I think that fell through a couple of times, or did that occur after the fact? Or
no, we talked about that. I'm
okay,
pretty sure during the interview.
Okay.
But yeah, we had been communicating with her for, well, years, I would say at this point.
Pretty much.
So we had that, 18-month break for From.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen because the strikes happened and we were like, oh, let's just stop talking about From until we get some better direction. So we let it fall through the cracks.
So the timing of when we finally got to talk to her was fortuitous.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's amazing. Elizabeth Moy, make sure you follow her on her Instagram and her Twitter X account. We'll put those links down in the description of the video. And we can't wait to see what she does next.
Absolutely. All right. We'd like to hear from you. What'd you think of the interview? What'd you think of From season 3? Are you excited? Stacie, we reached out.
I reached out on Twitter, X, Instagram, and Threads at TVN Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join one of my Core Productions Facebook pages. You can buy something from the Core Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a copy. You can join the Core Productions membership for 99 cents a month. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell so you're notified when new content drops. This is Dave and Stacie from Core Productions Deep Dive TV Podcast, signing off.